Hey guys, I'm back with a new video. In this video, let us solve a problem where given a string, we need to check whether both halves of the string are identical or not. If we split the string exactly at the middle, both the halves that we get from that split should be same. So if both the halves are same, we have to return true, otherwise we need to return false. Let us understand this with the help of an example. So suppose the given string is A, B, C, B, A. So this is the given string that the user gave us. Now the approach that I will be using here is that I will maintain two arrays. And remember, here we are only tackling the strings that have lowercase characters, okay? From small a to small z of the English alphabet, right? And then I will also take one more array. So let us say this as first half hash array, second half hash array. This is the naming convention that I am using. We are going to map the character that we have in a string to an index. So what we will do is, we will iterate over the string. For each character that we are currently at, we will subtract small a from that to get some value. That value represents an index. We go to that index and increment or decrement the count that is stored there as per the logic, right? So here we have two arrays. So this goes on from 0 to 25. And this also goes from 0 to 25. Now let us consider a simple base case. Suppose if the string is only small a, for this string, can you check whether both the halves of this string are identical or not? Now in this case, the string represents only the single character small a. So you can say that both halves of this string are identical. To the left of it, it has nothing. To the right of it, it has nothing. So for this, we can say true. And if we consider this string, if we split this at the middle, you can see the left half has AB, the right half has BA. So we have 1B and 1A on each side, right? So to manage the left half, I am using this array. And for managing the right half, I am using this array. So the very first thing we need to do is we need to iterate over the string that we are having. Here we can take two indices, say I and J. So currently I is pointing at index 0 and j is pointing at index 4, which is the last character of the string. Now what you need to do here is, this I index will move one position to the right with each iteration, and this j index will move one position to the left with each iteration. And you need to count the occurrence of each character of this string. So for the left half, the count will go in this array. For the right half, the count will go in this array. So let us take on the left half. The character that we are currently having at the index 0 is small a. So if you compute small a minus small a minus small a, you get 0. So if I say FHHA 0 plus plus, currently we are having 0 in the entire array as we created, right? Now as we see a small a, we need to count it by mapping it using this transformation that we have already seen in the previous video. So in the left half we have 1a, so a is represented by index 0 using this. Now in the left half we have 1b, so you can increment it to 1. So 1a and 1b. And for the right half you have 1a and 1b. So you can see both the arrays are exactly identical to each other. This means that the left half and the right half, that is both the sets, are identical to each other. So we need to do this work as long as I is less than j. If I take it here, a, b, c, b, a, I at 0 and j at index 4. So here we increment it 0 to 1. For this small a, we are working on the second half hash array or SHHA. Now once we have dealt with these two a's, I will point to b and will get incremented by 1. And j will get decremented by 1. So j will point right here and j becomes 3 now. Now we record the occurrence of b in the FHHA, which we did here. And we record the count of b for the right half of this string in SHHA right here. Now once this is done, we increment I by 1. We come to this index, we come to this character, and we decrement j by 1. So I is also here and j is also here, which means I becomes equals to j, and here we will terminate the loop, right? I hope my explanation is crystal clear. Let us write the code for this to get more clarity. let us go right here and define the function for this. So public static boolean check same set both halves, and this will receive a string as an argument. Now here we need to define two arrays, one for the left half of the string, another one for the right half of the string, and at the middle of the string we make a split int and use the same naming convention. So first half hash array new int, so here we will have 26 characters from index 0 to 25, and then int shha new int 26. Let us compute the length of the strings. So int n string1 dot length. Now consider a simple case that if the length of the string that we got as an argument is 1, in that case let us return true, because for that both halves are actually identical to one another. Identical in the sense that there is nothing to the left and nothing to the right of the single character that is being represented by the string. Now we need a loop and two indices. So for integer I is 0, we need two indices I is 0 and j at string1 dot length minus 1 n minus 1, and as long as I is less than j, I will get incremented by 1 and j will get decremented by 1. Now here we say first half hash array string1 dot character at the index I minus small a plus plus, and for the second half hash array we do this for the right end or for the right half of our string, which we are traversing using the j index from right to left till the split point, and this I index we are using from index 0 till the split point where I becomes equals to j. This should be plus plus. So for now let us understand the code till this point and then we will proceed further. So till this point what is happening is, with this line we are creating a array of 26 integers so 0 1 2 3 4, so indexing till 25, and with this line we create another array. So 0 1 2 3 till index 25. So we have two arrays with us. Let us say the string given to us is abcba, so the string length is 5. Let us again write this here. So abcba, and I will be at index 0 and j will be at index 4. Now the character that is sitting at index I is small a. So small a minus small a gives us 0. So go to the index 0 of the fhha and increment it by 1. At the start we are having all zeros, right, in both arrays. So we go right here and increment it by 1. Now from the right end of the string at the last index we are having the character a. So a minus a again corresponds to 0 index for the shha. So the character that is sitting at index string length minus 1, which is 4. At index 4 we are having small a, so small a minus a correspond to 0. At 0 we are having 0 in the shha, we increment it by 1, and this is your fhha. Now once this is done, we increment I by 1 and j gets decremented by 1. So I becomes 1 and now our I is here, and j gets decremented by 1. J is at this character. Now the character that is sitting at index 1 is b, and the character that is sitting at index 3 is b. So for fhha, which is for the left half of the split, we record the count of b in fhha. So b minus a gives us an index of 1. So fhha index 1 plus plus, which is this location, and at this location we increment 0 by 1. So here we get 1, and for this b we get b minus a. So b minus a resolves to 1 shha 1 plus plus, which represents this cell, and here we increment it by 1. So this is done. Now I gets incremented by 1 and j gets decremented by 1. So I becomes 2, j also becomes 2, and then this condition breaks. So we come out of the for loop. So now let us represent the current state that we are having after the for loop. So let me erase this and come directly to the point. Now after the for loop we have these two arrays that look something like this. So this is from index 0 to 25. And for this string, we have 1a and 1b. So 1a, 1b and all zeros. And this is for the left half. For the right half, we have shha. So let us create that as well. So starting from index 0, 1, 2, 3 goes on till 25. Here in the right half we are having 1a and 1b. So 1, 1 and all zeros. Now you can see that these two arrays are exactly identical. So now to check whether both the halves are equal or not, we just have to iterate over the array and check the corresponding cells. If they are equal for the entire array, then both the halves are identical to one another. And if at any index the corresponding cells are not same, then you can return false, indicating that both the halves are not identical to each other. Check if both the halves are same or not. For integer I is 0, I less than fhha.length I plus plus, and if the corresponding cells for both arrays differ, which you can check by saying this, then you can simply return false immediately. And if the corresponding cells are matching, then move on to other cells and compare again. So here 1 matches 1, 1 matches 1, and then 0 matches with 0, and this continues till the end. So for this example, the for loop will run completely and in the end it returns true. Now let us take another example where it returns false. So let us erase this first. Let us say we have a string CAB. So for the left half, if we create the FHHA 0, 1, 2 and goes on till 25, C will come here, and for all others we will have 0, and for this we will have B for SHHA, which will come at index 1 and all zeros for other ones. So you can see both arrays are not identical to each other, hence both halves of this string are different, right? So let us try the code to see what we get. So system.out.println check same set both halves. This takes a string, so A, B, C, B, A, and let us run the file to see what we get. So java c strings.java. Now let us run it, and you can see we are getting true, which was the expected output. Now in this approach there comes a disadvantage, that we are using two arrays, so we are using a lot of space to solve this problem. Now you should ask this question of optimization to yourself, that can we do this in a single array? And the answer is yes. So let us try this now. Let me go right above and paste the entire code, and we'll make the changes one by one. And let us change the name of this function to a bit longer, so space optimized. Now here we are going to do a simple trick. We are going to do everything in a single array. So what we can do is that, let me remove this entire code and tell you the approach that we are going to use for this optimized version. Let us erase this first. Now take the same string ABCBA. Now here we are going to take a single array starting from index 0 and going till index 25. And again we have two indices with us, I currently pointing at the first character, so I is 0 for the string, and j at string length -1, which is 4, and this is the middle point. So we have to check whether we have the same set of characters in both the halves, that is the left half and the right half. So what we can do is that for the left half, you transform the character to its index and you increment the content of that by 1. So for this small a, we get the index 0, we increment it by 1. for this small b, we get an index of 1. We go to that index and increment it by 1 again. Now simultaneously, for each move that we are making here, we are also moving from right to left till the midpoint for the right half, right? So for small a, you can see that we are having 1. So we can decrement it for right half. And for small b, we again get index 1. But for the right half, let us decrement it. So 0. So you can see the final state and the initial state of the array are identical. The initial state was all zeros. The final state is also all zeros. And if you get all the zeros, this means that both the halves of this string are identical to each other. And we are doing this using a single array. So this is space optimized compared to the previous approach that we used. So let us implement this now. So for the same code, let us make some changes. We are using a single array. So change this to HA. We again need to compute the string length. Then if the string length is 1, simply return true. And then here we are doing this. So for the character that we are having at the index I from the left half, we are incrementing. And for the character that we are getting from the right half, when we are traversing from right to left till the midpoint, we are decrementing. And then the simple logic here is that to check if both the halves are same or not, we are iterating over the array that we are having. And if at some index we are getting a non-zero value, then we can return false, because that indicates that both the halves are not identical to one another. But if the entire array is filled with zeros now, the loop is done and we return true right at the end, which indicates that both the halves are identical to one another. Let me zoom this out and try this on a simple example. So let us do a quick try run for this space optimized approach before we run the file to see what we get. So let us take a string ACB DCAB. So first we create an array. So this is HA starting from index 0 till index 25. Compute the string length, that comes out to be 7. Now this check will not run because we are using this string. Now first the index I is at 0 and index j is at string length -1, so j at 6. So currently we are having all zeros in our HA. Now the character at index I is small a and this is the midpoint say. Now the character at index 0 is small a, so small a minus a gives us the index of 0. We go to the index 0 and increment the content of that by 1, so this becomes 1. From the right hand, for the very first iteration, we are having the character b, and b minus a gives us 1, which we can decrement in the same array. So 0 gets decremented by 1, so it gives us -1, right? Now I will get incremented by 1, j gets decremented by 1, so I will become 1 and I comes at this point. J gets decremented by 1, so j comes at this point, so I becomes 1 and j becomes 5. So the character at index 1 is c and the character at index 5 is small a. So we again do these two computations. So c minus a gives us 2. We increment it by 1 for the left half, and for this small a that is in the right half, we need to decrement the content at index 0 a minus a, which is 1, by 1. So this one becomes 0 now. So we are having 0, -1, 1 and then all zeros. Now once this is done, I gets incremented by 1 and j gets decremented by 1. So I becomes 2 and j becomes 4. Now for the left half, we increment the index 1 by 1. So -1 becomes 0. And for j4, which is this index, where c is sitting at, we say c minus a, that gives us an index of 2. We decrement it by 1. So this becomes 0 again. Now finally I again gets incremented by 1, j gets decremented by 1, so I becomes 3 and j becomes 3. So 3 less than 3 is false, so the condition breaks and we come out of the for loop. Now the final state is something like this, where we are having all zeros just like the initial state of our HA. So 0, 1, 2, 3 till index 25. Now here we loop over the entire array and we check whether we do have a non-zero element in this. If we do have 1, then we return false. If all the elements in this HA are 0, then we return true, indicating that both the left half and the right half of this string are identical. So let us run the file to see what we get. So let me copy this line and paste it down below and change this to space optimized and pass ABCDBCA. And let us run the file to see what we get. So java c strings.java, and to run the file java strings. So you can see we are getting true, which is the expected output.